welcome back to Omoshiroi Recap. Today, I will recap Parallel World Pharmacy. The story begins with a world-famous medical researcher named Kanji Yakutani. After losing his younger sister to an incurable disease, he also spent the rest of his life healing patients by creating a variety of new medicines. Due to too much overtime work, thus causing him to die and be reincarnated into another world. He suddenly awakens as a 10-year-old child whose body is struck by lightning. He learns that he has been reincarnated into the medieval world as Falma, a child from a respected noble family. Not only that, there is a sacred mark on his body which is a sign that he has obtained the power of the medicine god. Beside him was a cute girl named Charlotte who was his maid. Charlotte explained everything about the Falma noble family. It turned out that his father named Bruno was the best medical expert in the empire, while his mother was named Beatrice, and his younger sister was named Blanche. The eldest brother named Pal was studying at the best pharmaceutical university in the world. Not only could the nobles use divine arts, but they had to use staff and incantation. At the same time, Falma could use divine arts by imagining chemical structures. His left hand can create matter, and his right can eliminate matter. During dinner, his father asked Falma to take medical and divine art lessons from a teacher named Hélène. The moment they met, Hélène felt that something was off about Falma. Even Hélène was surprised to see Falma's divine arts power being too strong. It turned out that Falma mastered all elements, and his power exceeded the limit until it reached the god level. After seeing the sacred mark of the medicine god on his arm and the eye of God, Hélène was also frightened when she found that Falma had no shadow. Before continuing the story, make sure you have subscribed because only 3% of you have subscribed, and that makes me sad. Increase this number by pressing the subscribe button, and don't forget to like this video because it will really help my YouTube channel algorithm. The next day Hélène had a fever. Falma was also asked by his father to send medicine to Hélène. While examining it, Falma was sure the medicine was still ineffective. Therefore, he gave the powdered medicine according to his memories of his previous life. Then Falma visited Hélène's house. Hélène used combat armor when she met him because Hélène thought that Falma wanted to kill her. Falma explained that he wanted to hand over the medicine for her. Not only that he wanted Hélène to remain his teacher so she could teach him how to control the power of the divine art.
俺には君が必要なんだ。どういういや、つまり君の知識がね。
After hearing Falma's explanation, Hélène also believed that Falma was a good medicine god. The next day, Hélène was willing to teach Falma how to control the divine art and thanked him for Falma's powdered medicine being so effective in reducing fever. They were training on an uninhabited island so that Falma could freely use his powers. While at the house, he used his left eye to discover the servants' ailments. After gathering information, Falma started taking medicine to treat all these ailments.
グリセロール。完成だ。
They were all pleased to receive the medicine. There is a difference in social status between aristocrats and ordinary people. Because of that, medicine is very high and unaffordable for ordinary people. Knowing this, Falma was determined to make a pharmacist who was cheap and healthy so that ordinary people could take care of their health without spending a lot of money. A few days later, his father told him that Blanche had chickenpox, a contagious disease that affects children. Even though his father forbade Falma to get close to Blanche, Falma still intended to make a powerful medicine to treat the disease. After making the medicine, Falma secretly went to see Blanche, took care of her and accompanied her until Blanche recovered. Falma did that because he remembered his younger sister in his previous life. After all that, Blanche had fully recovered. A few days later, Falma and his father got an emergency call from the Empire's queen. She was named Elizabeth. It turned out that she had suffered from a lung disease that was quite severe. Even his father and everyone there was desperate because they could not cure the queen. Ultimately, she was given a medicine that could ease pain or a ritual to ease her death. Falma felt annoyed and wanted to heal the queen. Falma immediately checked her illness with his eye of God. It turned out to be tuberculosis, like the White Death. Falma will give her a new medicine to cure her even though the other nobles didn't accept it when a child tried to treat the queen.
陛下のご病気に効く新薬がございます。
ファルマ、何を？
そなただけは また諦めてはおらぬのだな。はい。
However, the queen differed from them. She trusted Falma and allowed him to treat her. While returning to the house, Falma carefully made a new medicine, and his father suddenly barged into the place. He was suspicious of what Falma was doing, resulting in a fight between them.
今お前が調合しようとしているものは何だ?
After seeing the holy mark of the medicine god and its extraordinary power, his father was sure that his son had received the blessing of the medicine god. In the end, he trusted Falma's new medicine completely. Then the new medicine for the queen was finalized. Before giving the medicine to the queen, Falma displayed some bacteria that were the cause of the White Death disease.
なんだこれは? 虫か? じいちょう殿、何が見えるのです?
Instantly, they all became shocked at that, as well as amazed by Falma's knowledge. The queen took medicine routine every day for 6 months, and Falma watched over her. 3 months have passed, and the queen has improved thanks to taking Falma's medicine regularly. But Falma explained to be careful because there is no effective medicine in that world, and humans will always face death at any time. Hearing those words, somehow, the queen felt happy and amazed by Falma. A few months later, the queen had fully recovered, and she would prepare a reward for Bruno and Falma for their achievement in healing the Empire Queen. Bruno gets the Marseille region, a large area famous for its herbs. Meanwhile, Falma, who the other nobles had belittled, was now recognized by the queen and everyone in the palace for his prowess. Falma officially became the royal pharmaceutist, and even the queen allowed Falma to open a pharmacy in the imperial capital. The next day, the best construction workers immediately gathered to meet Falma to make a plan first so he could build his pharmacy as soon as possible. A few days later, the construction was finished, and the name of the dispensary was Parallel World Pharmacy. After that came the head of the medical experts guild named Veron. Veron was already looking to find trouble with Falma. It turned out that Veron had a bad past with the noble medical expert. Because of that, Veron would cause trouble for Falma later. Hélène and Charlotte will help Falma run the pharmacy business, and even a house finance servant, Cedric, will help with accounting and administration matters. While his father also gave a lot of money as initial capital so that Falma could build his business smoothly. In the end, the Parallel World Pharmacy officially opened. 1 month has passed, and Falma's pharmacy is quiet because the commoners are still hesitating to come to the noble apothecary. Charlotte collected various surveys from the residents, and with that, they were able to improve their shop's flaws to make them more friendly to the commoners. Then came the first customer, a grandfather named Jean. He always buys sea candy because it works to prevent scabies and contains vitamin C needed by a sailor. Then Falma's parents came to the pharmacy. Because Falma had trouble finding customers, his mother suggested he make cosmetics to attract the attention of nobles and commoners. His father said someone is willing to repeatedly throw away blood to get white skin. He also challenged hard because injuring himself to be beautiful is an outrage.
そのようなことをせずとも、お前は十分に美しい。
やだ、十分綺麗だなんて。何気に仲いいよな、この夫婦。
Suddenly, a noble fainted in the middle of the road. She was named Chloe. Upon inspection by Falma, it turned out that Chloe had wasted excessive blood to gain white skin to attract the attention of the man she loved. Falma also advised her to stop doing that, but Chloe still did it to have white skin. To solve this problem, Falma tries to make foundation cosmetics for the skin. After 1 week, Falma finished making moisturizer and whitening cream with safe ingredients.
ハケでそっとのせるように。キラキラ光って見えるわ。今までのおしろいとは何もかも違うわ。
Chloe was happy when her skin became healthier thanks to these cosmetics. After that, Charlotte offered cosmetic products to the nobles and commoners. It succeeded in attracting the attention of the customers to go to Falma Pharmacy. The pharmacy was very crowded, and the customers liked the cosmetic products. They also consult health, and the results are very satisfying. They need more materials and workers to make cosmetic products. Chloe, the daughter of a famous businessman, offered Falma a partnership to open a second cosmetic branch, so they can produce cosmetics in large quantities. In the end, the Parallel World Pharmacy business runs smoothly. Falma and his family stopped by the city of Marseille, where a beach with a beautiful ocean exists. So Charlotte and Blanche played around there while Falma remembered his little sister in his previous life. He did not have time to fulfill his promise to his sister to play on the beach because his sister was diagnosed with an illness. While playing on the beach, suddenly Blanche was carried away by the waves and further away from the beach. Falma immediately jumped in to save her. As the current was too strong, Falma dissipated some of the seawater around him. But he accidentally erased a whole area. Hélène was speechless when she saw Falma's immense power. In the end, Blanche was rescued and returned to the beach. But Charlotte looked trembling, so Falma thought he had frightened Charlotte. It turned out that Charlotte wasn't afraid of Falma, but rather because she couldn't save her master was in grave danger.
もう家族同然の大切な存在だよ。君に危険なことをさせたくない。
Falma tried to calm her down to get back to her usual enthusiasm. On the other hand, the inquisitors from the Holy Kingdom received information that a child without a shadow could wipe away seawater without a stick. So they thought that Falma was abnormal and immediately sent troops to eliminate Falma. When in the morning, suddenly, a horse-drawn carriage filled with soil barged into the pharmacy. Knowing this, Falma's father immediately wants to find the culprit, even warning Falma to be careful because someone hates him and their enemies justify any means to destroy Falma. After that, Falma came to his pharmacy due to the previous incident making his pharmacy a mess filled with mud. Then Grandpa Jean came to help clean up the pharmacy. Even the commoners worked together to help clean up the mud. A while later, a girl asked Falma to help check on her father, who had suddenly fainted. Without knowing anything, Falma went with her on a horse. When he arrived at the meadow, suddenly Falma was left there alone. It turns out it was just a trap to take Falma to a deserted place alone so the Inquisitors could eliminate him. The commander of the Inquisitor troop introduces himself as a Grand Temple Inquisitor Salomon. He also thinks of Falma as an evil spirit. Therefore, they immediately launched an attack to seal it. But the seal disappeared instantly. Falma tried to reconcile with them, but unfortunately, they didn't believe him in the least and wanted to kill him immediately. In the end, Falma also showed his true power to the point where they were helpless. Boundless divine power, shadowless body, and the divine mark of the medicine god. Salomon also confirmed that Falma was a medicine god.
俺は戦うためにこの世界に来たわけじゃない。
このお方こそ薬神様なのだ。
Salomon wants to make amends by giving his own life as an apology. Of course, Falma didn't want that. He immediately stopped it by eliminating the knife. Falma just wanted them not to bother him in his pharmacy. However, Salomon suffered a broken bone due to falling from the horse. After being examined, it turned out that Falma had to perform surgery to save Salomon's life. Unfortunately, Falma had no experience in surgery and wanted to ask for help from a doctor in that world. Since the surgery needed to be performed as quickly as possible, Falma had no choice but to carry out his operations there. Falma did his best to make the operation go smoothly and save Salomon's life. After going through various treatments, Salomon's life was saved. Falma asked them to take Salomon to the temple, and later he would return to care for him. Seeing the kindness of Falma taking pity on them, the Inquisitors were grateful and swore allegiance to him. A few months later, Salomon had fully recovered. He rose through the ranks from Grand Temple Inquisitor to Chief Imperial Priest to serve Falma. Not only that, Salomon also brought one of the treasures of the Temple of the Patron God, namely the Medicine God Scepter. It turned out that the staff could only be used by Falma, whereas other people could not touch it because human hands could not handle the Medicine God's staff. Before leaving, Salomon gave the Holy Power Suppression Talisman. Thanks to it, Falma could have shadows. While touring the city, Falma came up with an idea to create a new guild so that medics of the commoners could join him, so that Falma's medical knowledge could spread widely and help many people out there. Veron was the culprit who ordered the horse carriage to crash into Parallel World Pharmacy. He had made Falma his enemy and forbade the entire guild from approaching him. If they violate that order, they will be expelled from the guild, and their business license will be revoked. Falma accidentally ran into a guild member named Pierre. Knowing his daughter was sick, Falma offered to treat her. For his daughter's recovery, he was also willing to accept the risk of being expelled from the guild for receiving treatment from Falma.
よし、脳症はなさそうだな。マリーさんは。 重い風邪のようなものですね。
After various examinations, Falma confirmed that he only had an ordinary fever that was getting worse. At that time, Pierre was very impressed with him because he had broad insights and treated everyone fairly regardless of social status. After taking Falma's medicine, his daughter was getting better too. As Falma's medical expenses cost the price of one loaf of bread, naturally, Pierre was surprised that the price was too quiet. Falma explained that he was cheapening the price so the children could easily get an inspection. At that moment, Pierre realized that the guild would not be able to compete with Falma. A few days later, the guild destroyed Pierre's shop and even confiscated his business license. Of course, Pierre has no hope of doing business there. After knowing all that, Falma offered Pierre to join his medicine compounding guild. At that moment, Pierre had tears in his eyes because the help from Falma was a new step that changed his life.
新しい薬を取り扱う調剤薬局ギルドなんですが、私を手伝っていただけませんか?
After joining the medicine compounding guild and preparing the same products as the parallel world pharmacy, the beginning of his shop selling the best medicines in the world begins. Falma's father had a dream about his past with the misguided medical expert named Camus. It turned out that Camus was a genius who had gone astray because he had conducted human experiments many times. So he was detained and given a painful punishment. The next day he received a letter from Falma's older brother, Pal, that a fair would be held in the imperial capital, and merchants from all over the world would gather there. However, Pal conveyed information that there was a deadly epidemic that could be transmitted in the Netherlands. Therefore, they had to be careful because Netherlands merchant ships would participate in the fair. Pal also explained that the victims suffered cell death and his skin became pitch black. After looking at the research sample, Falma confirmed it was the bubonic or Black Death plague.
地球でも何度も大流行し、14世紀ヨーロッパの人口を半減させたと言われるほどの猛威を振るった。
Knowing how terrifying the Black Death was, Falma was very scared that the Black Death would appear in that world. To prevent the spread of the Black Death, Falma immediately ordered 2 pharmacists to prepare to quarantine at the port. Meanwhile, Falma and his father immediately informed the Queen about the Black Death to tighten security to prevent the transmission of the Black Death plague. Pierre would lead the pharmacists and Salomon to guard the imperial capital, while Falma and Hélène immediately headed to the port. On the other hand, the mastermind who wants to spread the plague of the Black Death is the skeleton-faced man, Camus. A few moments later, they arrived at the port and began to conduct gradual inspections of ships that wanted to dock. Even though it went well initially, some ship owners were angry because they waited too long.
このあるやつは海へぶちまけてやるから。すみませんでした。
Jean, the commander of the Imperial fleet, was able to stop their anger. After completing the inspection on the ship, suddenly there was information that the residents of the small fishing village had an outbreak of disease. It turned out that a ship's crew entered illegally through the village, so the villagers were exposed to the Black Death plague, and it was spreading fast. Knowing that Falma immediately headed there alone while Hélène would be on guard at the port. The medicine god staff's power allowed Falma to reach the village quickly. Once there, Falma stopped the villagers from escaping to prevent the plague from spreading elsewhere. Falma used his power to cover the entire place with ice.
村に戻ってください!
Seeing his extraordinary power made the residents obey all orders from Falma to return to the village. On the other hand, Jean finds a ship infected with an outbreak of disease. Even the ship's entire crew has died. With a heavy heart, Jean decided to sink the ship.
きちんと検疫を受けておれば助かる命もあっただろうに。
Falma started to carry out checks on the residents, assisted by the temple priests. Fortunately, the plague was not severe and could still be treated quickly. Then Falma had the priests find the plague-carrying crew heading to the imperial capital. Falma asked them to burn the cargo immediately if they found them. On the other hand, his father met Professor Casper to ask her to find a medicinal substance that could be an effective medicine for the Black Plague. To think that Casper had discovered the therapeutic substance so many years ago. Thanks to that, they created a new medicine to fight the Black Plague. On the other hand, Falma's work in the village had been completed, and he immediately went to find the crew of the previous ship. It turned out that the priests had managed to catch some of the ship's crew. They explained that carts were filled with squirrels from the plague-stricken island heading to the capital. Even 5 holy knights are escorting the cart. Since 5 holy knights were escorting them, Falma confirmed that a mastermind wanted to spread the Black Plague throughout the empire. On the other hand, after receiving this information, the queen increased security at every entrance to the capital to prevent intruders. Pierre received an analysis sample from the capital city gate. Pierre was surprised that the sample was the Black Plague. They immediately headed there, but the holy knight had already launched his attack. The Holy Knight released many squirrels and scattered them all over the city. Pierre, who saw the squirrel, immediately rang the emergency warning bell. That made everyone panic and fear when they heard that. Falma's father explained to the queen that the possible mastermind behind the incident was the misguided medical expert Camus. They have been friends for a long time, but Camus suddenly became evil with his madness, which conducted human experiments. Ultimately, his face was ruined, and he was expelled from the empire. On the other hand, with 5 holy knights against the priests, Salomon's arrival can easily paralyze the knights. Falma had arrived at the capital city and confirmed that several residents had caught the Black Plague from the squirrels. His father met the knights. They told him that Camus had ordered them and explained that an evil spirit had possessed Camus. Then Falma felt something dangerous and noticed Camus' presence. On the other hand, Charlotte and Cedric were in parallel world pharmacy. Camus suddenly appeared behind him and slashed them with a poison knife. While Falma and his father had already arrived there, he was going to fight Camus temporarily so that Falma could heal both of them from the poison. Even though their wounds were still open from the stab, Falma managed to remove the poison from their bodies. After that, Falma took his father's place against Camus, seeing Camus' madness that was already incurable. Falma also took pity and had no choice but to eliminate him. In the end, Camus vanished into dust after being hit by a powerful holy attack, and purifying power spread throughout the capital. 2 months after the battle, they all managed to stop the Black Plague from spreading, so that the residents could enjoy their usual peaceful day. Falma opened the parallel world pharmacy again after being closed for a long time. And that is the end of the video. Remember to subscribe and like this video, so see you in the next video.